Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're here. You know, like, subscribe, check us out on a constant basis. But I got something I want to talk to you about today that everybody needs to understand. I want to put some clarity on it, okay? So a lot of you new guys are asking questions about, well, what actually is this? So this is kind of a basic video just to tell you guys that are wondering what it is. Okay, so what is wholesaling? Now, I know some of you sit there and say, oh, I got this, I don't need, let's click off video. Don't click off, because you may need to understand too exactly what wholesaling is, because if you don't understand the game, you haven't played the game before, you've watched videos, you haven't done any deals or whatever, you kind of need to get the premise of what you're doing, okay? Now let's simplify it. Let's just put it into a very simple box. What wholesaling is getting a property under contract, assigning that contract, and getting a check. Now, let's go back from that, because there are a lot of moving parts in between that. All right? Those of you that follow me, you know I only do sound investing practices. I do not do these little 10% deals and $3,000 assignments and all that stuff, because that's not solid. That's just a market fluctuation. That's not any kind of a sound investing practice. So we're going to talk about investing with sound practices into wholesaling. So when you run your numbers, that's your key in this whole entire industry of real estate investing, is running your numbers and running them correctly, because you have to do it the right way in order to make a profit. Now, when you're wholesaling, you really need to understand who your customer is. Who is your customer, guys? I'm going to tell you. Your customer, when you're wholesaling, is not a quote-unquote end buyer. It's not a guy that's going to move into the house, okay? It's not somebody that says, this is my forever home. That's not the guy that's going to buy your wholesale deals. That's why running your numbers is so important, and having enough room in there to make sure that you can sell your deal. If you guys are having trouble selling your deals, and you're getting deals under contracts, they're going, your buyer says they want to buy them, but it's not closing. You got 15, 20 people looked at the deal, you haven't run your numbers correctly. Because the guy that you're selling to are net prices. So therefore, all of the closing cost is paid. So he has closing cost on the buying side. Then whenever he goes to sell it retail, and he'll typically use an agent, okay? So he'll have the agent cost, a 6% commission. He'll have his regular closing cost, and then, as I said, he'll have the front side closing cost. So he may have 12% worth of cost off of that retail price, just for closings. All right. So these things you got to factor in, because I'm telling you, and I'm telling you this because a lot of you guys' deals aren't closing. I'm seeing it over and over again. I'm reading these posts. I'm reading on these sites. Oh, this guy did this. The deals aren't closing. The reason the deals aren't closing is because you don't understand who your customer is. Okay? Your customer has to be able to cover all of these costs, his cost overruns, his hidden costs. He has to make a profit. He has to pay all those repair costs. He has a lot of costs to incur, and therefore, whenever he's looking at your deal and he's looking at it, he's going 80%. There ain't enough there, because if he has one little hiccup in the job, he knows he's bankrupt. He's not going to make nothing. He's got closing costs, as I said, to pay, 6% realtor commission, 3% on the front side, 3% on the back side. He's got a lot of expense there, plus his holding costs, his insurance. There's just a lot involved. And when you run your numbers, you have to be factoring all these things in, because your customer, which is the wholesaler, he's factoring it in. So he's looking at your deal and he's like, 80%, I'm not buying that, because he can't. If he buys those deals, he's out of business. He won't last a year. That's your customer. That person is a rehabber. Okay? The person that's your customer as a wholesaler is a rehabber. Your rehabber is going to have guidelines that they're going to buy under that are nothing like retail buyers. Okay? Most of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are going to use hard money. What is hard money? Hard money should be called easy money, because it's a lot easier to get than conventional financing. But hard money is typically short-term, interest-only, high interest. Okay? It covers most of the purchase price, if not all, and all of the rehab costs done in draws. Okay? So the person that's going to buy your property from you as a wholesaler, he's going to have to pay higher interest rate. He's going to have holding costs. You know, every month he has to pay the note or pay interest, whether it accrues or whether he pays it, you know, every month. He's going to have to pay that for a series of months. He's going to have insurance, such as a builder's risk policy, which covers the house basically, and the lender, if the house gets vandalized and burns down, the lender's still covered and he gets his money back. Now, it's not like owner's insurance. It's called builder's risk for a reason, because it's risk insurance for the guy that's fronted the money for the operation for the house. So he's got those costs. He's got closing costs when he buys. Typically, a lot of times it's written in the contract that, you know, the prices that we offer our wholesale sellers, that wholesale buyer that's buying your wholesale deals has to make money. Now, you have to make money as a wholesaler because it costs you money to be in. So let's go back to what is wholesaling. Wholesaling is finding a motivated seller, because if the seller's not motivated, you're not getting a good deal. You know, you're not going to jump on the MLS and look at retail properties and say, well, I'm just going to give you 80% of that and buy the deal. Good luck. Good luck. You're going to be very frustrated. Okay? Those of you that have taken my course, you know how to find these people. You know what you're looking for, because I've shown you what you're looking for, and I've shown you how to find them. So you have to deal with motivated sellers. You have to find them. You have to get the property at a price that all the expenses can be covered, and that your buyer, which is the rehabber, can afford to buy that property and make money on it. So in the end, it's as simple as what I said. You find a property, you get a property under contract, you assign the contract, you make a payment. But there's a lot of moving parts in between there, and you need to understand as a wholesaler that if you don't leave enough money, excuse me, for your buyer, which is the rehabber typically, if you don't leave enough money for him to make a profit, you're going to send your deals out there, they're going to get sent back. You're going to send your contracts out, oh, I got this deal, and this is the numbers. If your numbers are inflated, your ARVs, these are savvy investors. They know. They do this every day. Especially you new guys, I'm talking to you especially because I'm seeing this over and over and over and over, that contracts are being returned. The reason the contract is returned is not because the house is ugly. It's not because it needs a lot of work. It's not because the buyer's just a dummy. It's because there's not enough money in the deal. You need to really understand how to run your numbers correctly, and who your buyer is. Because your buyer is who's going to pay you. If you are doing deals consistently and you're getting them turned back to you and you're not closing, absolutely, unequivocally, no doubt, it's your numbers. Tune your numbers up. Get better at crunching your numbers, run your ARVs, and estimating your repair costs, because the guys that you're going to sell to, they're savvy. They know. They're smart. They're not dumb. That's why they're in that business. I myself, I like rehab. Okay, yes, I've wholesale properties. That, you know, it is what it is. But I personally like fix and flip, because I like to take something that's ugly and turn it into something beautiful, you know, and it's ready for a retail buyer. So I myself, I personally like those. You know, I'm more of a rehabber than a wholesaler. I've done plenty of wholesale deals, but rehabbing is, to me, is a transformation, and I like the transformation. But I wanted to say this to you guys that are wholesaling, what wholesaling is, because I want you to understand what you're actually doing and who your customer is. Because who your customer is going to determine if you make money. If you go out and tie properties up that need, let's just say, a light rehab, but you still don't have enough in there for your assignment fee of $20,000 or $15,000 or whatever you want to put in it on this particular deal, why fool with it? Your time of going and hunting that deal is worth more. $3,000, $5,000 assignment fees, you're looking in the wrong place. You're looking in the wrong place. You need to be looking in the places where the motivated sellers are. Those of you that are taking my courses, I said, you know where to look. I've just showed you where to look. and I'm showing you how to run your numbers and who your customer is and how to find that customer and all. But the new guys that are watching this video that have not taken my course and you don't understand exactly what's going on, you think you do, but I promise you, if you're getting your contracts returned and you're not closing those deals, when you get it, you should be able to close it. If that deal is so marginal that you can't close it, don't get it under contract. Don't throw crap on the wall and pray for it to stick. Don't do that. Make sound investment practices and principles, and you'll sell your deal every time. And what will happen is people will start to knowing that you have good deals in that area, and they'll be sending you messages. Hey man, I get so many texts, man. I'm talking about just one after another. You got anything? Got anything? You got anything? I mean, sometimes 3 or 4 days, sometimes 3 or 4 days before I get one, but I get them all the time. Hey, you got anything? And I'm like, no, not right now, because I may not have nothing, or I may not want to give it to them. So I want to encourage you to realize what wholesaling is. And yes, I gave it to you the simple form, but I'm really doing this because I want you to understand who your customer is, and that you should be making more money. You should not be making $3,000 on a deal or $5,000 on a deal. Yes, every now and then you'll do a deal and that'll just be the way the numbers break out. But if you're consistently buying or trying to buy deals and trying to sell them at $5,000 profits or whatever, assignment fees as you'd call it, man, you're fighting an uphill battle. Not only are you fighting an uphill battle, but you're never going to build your wholesaling business on $5,000 assignments, because the work is in finding the deal. That's where the work is, and getting it under contract. The work is not selling it. Selling it is the easy part if you got the right deal. If you've done your numbers correctly, selling it's not going to be the problem. That's going to be the easiest part in getting paid. So I'm encouraging you, don't give up. That's my motto, never give up. But I want to encourage you also to run your numbers correctly, know who your customer is, know who's going to buy your deal, and know what they're willing to pay for it. Go check out my Facebook page. I got a couple of examples on there, showing you some of the costs, the hidden costs, the things that the investor and the rehabber that's going to buy your deal is going to be looking at having to pay. And maybe it'll bring a little bit of light to you. It's House Whipping Masters on Facebook. But there's some examples on there, and in some of my videos I talk about it. You really need to pay attention to it, because you'll sell more deals and you'll make more money. If you run those numbers correctly, we'll have no problem selling you deals. I'm glad you guys are here. Hope you come back to see some more. I'm not beating up on you. I'm just trying to get you to go out there and buy some houses and make some money. I'll see you guys.